Welcome to 4 Detroit Dudes TV, otherwise known as The Dude Show. I'm your host, Ted Belowski, and we've got a great show for you tonight. I want to apologize for being off for about the last week or so, but really pumped about tonight's show. We're going to take a look at a local brewery, talk about a couple of their beers, taste those beers, and then I'll obviously tell you a little bit more about the brewery and some of their menu items as well. This is really a format that we're going to use quite often going forward here on The Dude Show. We really want to introduce people out there to the great beers that are made here in Michigan. You wouldn't believe how many breweries there are out there in the state that are producing amazing craft beers, and a lot of people don't really know about it. So we really want to educate you and provide some more options for you when you go to the liquor store, you want to go out and grab a six-pack. I want to give you some other options that are Michigan-based companies that are brewing beers here in the state. So we'll get right into it tonight. We're going to start with the Detroit Beer Company. If you're not familiar with the beer company, it's an awesome brewery and restaurant located in downtown Detroit. It's actually on Broadway, just a few steps from Comerica Park, Ford Field, the Fox. It's an interesting place. They were established in 2003, and they're actually in a pretty old building called the Harts Building. And their brew house was actually custom fabricated to fit into the unique space that they have. It's really cool. If you get down there to check it out, I highly recommend that. They typically have about 8 beers on tap that they brew in-house. They brew a variety of different types of beers, lagers, IPAs, porters, stouts. They have a number of seasonal beers that they rotate in and out as well. It's a great place to grab a beer, grab some grub, catch a game. If you're downtown for a Lions game or a Tigers game, or even going to the theater, stop in, enjoy some food, and grab a couple beers. Like I said, it's a fantastic place. I'm not going to talk too much about their food menu tonight, but I will say one thing. If you go there, you absolutely have to try the Blarney Stones. It's on their appetizer menu. It's called the Blarney Stones, and what it is actually corned beef, Swiss cheese, and sauerkraut rolled into balls that they deep fry. It tastes like a deep fried Reuben, and they're unbelievable. They'll absolutely blow your mind. Grab a plate of those, grab a couple beers, and enjoy. Like I said, it's fantastic food. So tonight we're going to take a look at 2 of their beers. These are really their most widely available beers. Their distribution is really starting to grow, and they're selling their beers more and more in liquor stores and markets around town. The 2 beers we're going to look at tonight are actually the Detroit Dwarf, which is really kind of their signature beer, and then also the Detroit Lager, which is an excellent beer as well in its own right. So we'll start with the Dwarf. I've already poured myself a little bit here, and you can see right off the bat it's got a really kind of a deep red, almost amber color to it, and the name Detroit Dwarf is actually named after a Detroit urban legend. It's pretty interesting. It's called Nain Rouge, which means red dwarf in French. And really the red dwarf legend says that it's a harbinger of doom. Now, there's been many sightings over the years of people actually seeing a red dwarf running through the streets of Detroit. And I don't know if that's because they've consumed too much or what, but it typically signifies something really bad happening after seeing the dwarf. So again, there's been many reports. This legend actually dates back to the 1700s. Pretty cool that they chose to name their beer after that. So like I said, as you can see, it's got a really red color to it. Really red color. I'm going to go ahead and give it a twirl here. This beer's got a really clean taste to it. You know, if you give it a little bit of a smell and a little bit on the back palate, you can really taste kind of a citrusy component that's mixed in there, but it's also got really kind of an earthy flavor and tone to it. It's a great mix of malt and hops. I think they created kind of the perfect mixture where, you know, sometimes you have too much hops and it's overpowering, or you've got too much malt and it's overpowering, but they have got the perfect combination here. It almost creates like a creamy texture to it. This is an excellent beer. Like I said, it's one of my all-time favorites. I highly recommend going out and getting the Detroit Dwarf. Grab yourself a 6-pack. You will not be disappointed with this beer. If you're down at the beer company, try it on tap. It's even better coming fresh out of the taps. Excellent beer. So the other beer we're going to take a look at tonight is the Detroit Lager. This is a much more traditional, you know, American beer. It's an interesting beer though, and it's also, like I said, available in a lot of different places around town. I actually got both these 6-packs at Primo's Pizza here in Birmingham, but I know it's available at places like Papa Joe's, Plum Market, things like that, those local markets that are around town. Like I said, more and more places are starting to get this beer. I've already poured myself a little bit here, and if you compare it to the, let's pour a little bit more of the Dwarf in there, but you know, if you compare the color of these two, you can really see the difference. Obviously, the Dwarf's got that red color to it. This beer's got really, really kind of a golden color to it. Much more traditional looking beer from a look standpoint. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a whirl. Again, it's got really a crisp, very crisp taste to it. Like I said, it's probably more in line with what you're used to if you drink any type of American beer. It's crisp, but it's got a really, really full body to it. It's got some bold hops that kind of hit you in the face initially, but it's not overpowering. It's not a super hoppy beer, but you can definitely taste that initially, but it smooths out as you kind of swallow it and get to the back palate there. Very, very, very smooth. Yeah, the Detroit Lager, like I said, if you like a traditional American beer, I highly recommend you go out and get yourself some of the Lager. Very, very excellent beer. I don't typically rate beers, but I'm going to try to start doing that here on the show. So we're going to use a 100-point scale, and I don't think, at least off the top of my head, I can think of any beers that we're going to rate 100. We may, but it's going to, to rate 100, it's got to be a really, really special beer. These are two of my favorite beers out there, like I've mentioned. I'm going to go ahead and give the Dwarf a 96-point rating. Awesome beer. Like I said, one of my all-time favorites. The Lager, I'm going to give it a 92. Not because it's that much worse of a beer. It's just, I prefer the Dwarf over it. But again, like I said, if you really like a traditional American beer, go out and get yourself some of this. You will not be disappointed. You guys have to stop by the DBC if you're downtown, like I said, for a game or whatever. They've got some of the best brewed beers out there. Their food is phenomenal, and they've got a really great atmosphere to watch a game or to just hang out. We typically go down there every year for opening day for the Tigers, and we always stop into the DBC, and it's a fantastic place to just hang out and enjoy, like I said, some great beers and some great food. We're going to try to set something up down the road here to get down there and actually do an on-location show down at DBC. We're going to try to do that really at all the breweries that we highlight here on the show. But we want to get down there and actually be on site, show you their brewing facility, hopefully have their brewmaster kind of walk us through, how they brew the beers. We'll talk obviously a little bit more about their menu and show you some of the great things they have from the food perspective. So definitely stay tuned for that. We've got some more great shows coming up. Later on this week, we're going to take a look at another local Michigan brewing company called Shorts Brewing. One of my all-time favorite brewing companies. They make some of the best beers around. So stay tuned for that. That's probably going to come Thursday or Friday this week. We'll do that show. I also want to mention, as you can see, I am wearing my Lions jersey. I bought the number 50 Ernie Sims jersey a couple years ago. Unfortunately, now Ernie is playing in Philadelphia. But just wanted to mention that we put up a post today on the website with regard to the Lions game yesterday. There's really not much you can say about it. The rule is what the rule is, but it was clear that Calvin Johnson caught that ball at the end of the game. But go on on our website, www.fordetroitdudes.com. Check out our latest post in the sports section about the Lions game. It's an interesting equation that we put together that I want to find out if you guys can solve. Leave us comments. Like we've talked about before, we want to interact with you guys and hear about it. If you guys have tasted or been down to Detroit Beer Company and had these beers, let us know. Tell us what you think. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned, like I said, for some more great episodes, and we look forward to talking to you and seeing you again on The Dude Show. Thanks a lot.